President Trump made a major announcement last night as he called for a district court judge to be impeached. As a result, Chief Justice Roberts came out today to defend this radical judge. Let's hear more.
Chief Justice John Roberts issued a rare statement today. It was one that directly confronts the Trump administration after the president called for a judge to be impeached. Roberts defended the judiciary's independence and rejected impeachment as a response to disagreeing with a jurist's rulings, reminding Trump and the White House that the normal appellate review process exists specifically for that purpose.
Yeah, so my only response to Chief Justice Roberts would be keep the same energy. You had nothing to say when Joe Biden opened up the border. You had nothing to say when he defied your court order as it pertains to student loans. But now all of a sudden you have something to say because President Trump put up a social media post. What executive order did he issue trying to impeach a judge? What physical action did he take trying to impeach a judge? I'm just asking for consistency here. Now, here's President Trump sitting down with Laura Ingraham, responding to Chief Justice Roberts.
The Chief Justice of the Supreme Court issued what a rare statement about your suggestion on Truth that you posted earlier today that Judge James Boasberg should be impeached after he ordered those deportation flights to El Salvador halted, essentially turned around. The Chief Justice said it was more than two centuries. We understood that essentially impeachment was for very rare circumstances and not an appropriate response to rulings you disagree with. What's your reaction to the courts stepping in to make a statement here? They didn't make a statement when Joe Biden decided to forgive all those student loans.
Well, he didn't mention my name in the statement. I just saw it quickly. He didn't mention my name,
Yeah.
But many people have called for his impeachment, the impeachment of this judge. I don't know who the judge is, but he's radical left. He was Obama appointed. And he actually said we shouldn't be able to take criminals, killers, murderers, horrible, the worst people, gang members, gang leaders, that we shouldn't be allowed to take them out of our country. Well, that's a presidential job. That's not for a local judge to be making that determination.
Essentially, there's really two sides to this entire debate. One is due process, and that is really coming from the left, that President Trump is not following due process. He's breaking the Constitution in half. He's trying to go after rogue judges. He's trying to take over Congress. I mean, they're going to say extreme statements that really are not true. The other side here is that President Trump was given an overwhelming mandate to get these criminals out of this country, and Americans don't care how it's done. Just get it done. Take action. That's exactly what the President Trump is doing. Now, here's what Bernie Sanders had to say about all this.
And now he's going after the courts. Look, if somebody is a corrupt judge, that person can and should be impeached. But not because you voiced an opinion. That's why these guys have life terms. So they are immune from these types of attack, and they can be objective in their judgment. And just the word here. In the last number of years, and I'm not a great fan of Chief Justice Roberts, you have had decisions from the Supreme Court on Citizens United, which allow billionaires to buy elections, one of the worst decisions in the history of the Supreme Court. You didn't see a whole lot of people saying impeach Roberts and members of the court. You had this horrible decision on Roe versus Wade, taking away women's rights to control their own bodies. Again, we live in a society of rule of law. Supreme Court has its power. Judges have their power. And it should frighten every American, whether you're conservative or progressive, that you have a president who does not respect our Constitution and wants more and more power for himself.
So my only response to Bernie Sanders would be I could make the same argument for Joe Biden. He didn't respect the Supreme Court's decision as it pertains to student loans. He definitely did not respect the Constitution and American safety when he opened the borders. So everything he's saying about Trump, you could say for Joe Biden. And in regards to Citizens United, that benefits both sides of the aisle. That's why nobody was calling to impeach any judge, because it really does not put Americans in danger in the same way that allowing TDA gang members to run rampant in people's communities would put Americans in danger. So this leads to the question that's on everybody's mind. Will President Trump and his administration defy court orders in this regard? Here's what he said.
But going forward, would you defy a court order? Because that we all know that was outrageous.
I never did defy a court order.
And you wouldn't in the future?
No, you can't do that. However, we have bad judges. We have very bad judges. And these are judges that shouldn't be allowed. I think at a certain point, you have to start looking at what do you do when you have a rogue judge?
Yeah, that is the question. What are you supposed to do when you believe that the judges are not acting in good faith and in accordance with the Constitution? Well, the only thing that can be done is the House will have to seek to impeach the judge, and the official vote will go to the Senate. And that's really never going to happen. This judge will never be impeached. Okay. That's just the reality of everything. So a lot of it is just noise and smoke. The real test is when the case gets to the Supreme Court. That's what actually matters. Now, I want to show you guys a clip because I think it really shows the true debate in all of this. You got one side who's like, hey, we're taking action because over the past 4 years, nothing happened. And then you have one side that wants to critique every action from a place of extreme compassion. Take a look at this.
There is a new lawsuit, and maybe you'll care about this because it's about an American, from the National Immigrant Justice Center. Here we go. Here's an American. There are 22 people that they're saying in the state of Illinois who have had their rights violated since Trump came into office, including a 54-year-old American who was born in this country, who had his stuff taken away, was thrown in a van, handcuffed, took 10 hours for him to be able to get out of there. Now, they had no reason to
got out. Yeah. Isn't that the point?
You know what? Then I'm going to throw you in jail for 10 hours and see how you feel about it.
You know what? Who are you fighting for? Are you fighting for the criminals?
I'm fighting for an American. Right. Actually, if they, why can't you accept that? If mistakes are being made, that they should do a better job of this. ICE even had a declaration that came out last night.
You let them all in. What are you talking about? Do a better job.
We can always do a better job. I agree. But that doesn't negate the job that's being done. That's all I would say. Let's agree to that, Jessica.
When you let 10 million people into the country and you try to get them all out, there's going to be some issues.
So what I find to be interesting is while these leftists like Jessica cry about due process when it comes to illegals, American citizens have struggled under the weight of this entire mass invasion under the Biden administration. And now that there's an actual president who's willing to do the right thing, they cry foul on everything. This is the debate. One side wants to critique everything that President Trump is doing because he's moving too fast for them to even comprehend or understand. And yes, mistakes are being made along the way. And then on the other side, hey, we've been given a mandate. We have to take action. We got to get this done. Results matter. And that's why in a related story, a federal judge today blocked billionaire Elon Musk and Doge from taking any more steps to shut down USAID, saying their efforts up to this point likely violated the U.S. Constitution. So there you go again with another district court judge preventing the executive branch from exercising its powers.
Late today, a federal judge issued one of the first rulings limiting Elon Musk and his chainsaw team at Doge. The judge ruling that Doge, quote, likely violated the United States Constitution when it gutted the U.S. Agency for International Development, or USAID. He placed a preliminary injunction on Doge. He's not stopping them from accessing personal data of USAID employees, but ordered Doge not to share it outside the agency. And he says they can't fire any more people who work in the rubble of what was USAID.
Now, in case you didn't know it, the Trump administration was already ahead of this. That's why you guys heard of that alleged blow up between department heads and Elon Musk in a cabinet meeting a couple of weeks back, where it came to the realization that people have been appointed as a director or administrator or secretary of their own departments. They need to be firing these individuals, not Doge. So what's interesting is the people who are already fired, it's over for them. They're not coming back. The people who recently were laid off or left the building at USAID, the judge is expecting them to come back to work. But how do you actually come back? I mean, that's the interesting part about all this. And here's what President Trump had to say in response to this ruling.
But for federal judges, district court judges, to order a sitting president to reinstate fired employees, you're the chief executive officer of the United States. You order that these agencies be reviewed.
Employees, many of whom didn't even report to work, many of whom were scamming this country. And you see the same thing. I could read them off, and I did during various speeches. I read off deal after deal after deal, all big scams. And we have a guy that wants to make a name for himself. You know, in many cases, they're just grandstanders. They want to make a name for themselves. So we'll appeal it, and hopefully we will meet with reasonable appeals. You know, I've won great cases on appeals.
Yeah, well, some of the, maybe people weren't fired, maybe they were temporarily put on suspended. So we'll see how this plays out. But he's very unhappy with what happened at USAID.
Well, he shouldn't be. You know what he should do? He should really look at where the money went. They don't ever want to do that. You know, the Democrats always talk about, oh, our Constitution's been violated. The one thing they never talk about is, where did these billions of dollars go? They never want to look, because when you see where the money went and the scams, you don't even have to see anything. Just look at the heading.
Just think about it. It's human nature. If you knew that your husband or wife or daughter or son or associate or best friend is serving on the board of these NGOs that are getting all this money from USAID, and you find out that Elon Musk is trying to axe that, what would you do? You would try to fight against it. Absolutely. And you would go to your lawyer friends, and you would go to judges, and you would go to politicians. And we already know these institutions overwhelmingly lean left. Now, here is Elon Musk sitting down with Ted Cruz, confirming what President Trump was saying.
Why do they hate you so much?
Well, because we're clearly over the target. If Doge was ineffective, if we were not actually getting rid of a bunch of waste and fraud, and a bunch of that fraud, the fraud we're seeing is overwhelmingly on the left. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not zero on the right, but these NGOs are almost all left-wing NGOs that are being funded, for example.
Yep.
So they hate me because Doge is being effective. And Doge is getting rid of a lot of waste and fraud that people on the left were taking advantage of. That's what it comes down to. And the single biggest thing that they're worried about is that Doge is going to turn off fraudulent payments of entitlements. Everything from Social Security, Medicare, unemployment, disability, small business administration loans. Turn them off to illegals.
Yeah, so here's what Charlie Kirk had to say in reaction to all of this. I'm just going to cut to the chase. He says this: in case it wasn't explicit enough that the only two clauses of the left's constitution, where thou shalt have open borders and all American money will be sent abroad. I mean, literally, that's what Democrats are continuing to double down on, triple down on, and fight for. Now, there's really two fronts, politically and legally. Legally, Democrats could be correct. President Trump could lose, not only with these district court judges, but maybe he appeals it, he loses again, it goes to the Supreme Court, he loses again. But politically, this will continue to ruin the Democratic Party, because these are not issues that the majority of Americans are going to support as it pertains to the way that Democrats see it. They don't see it as President Trump is trying to violate the Constitution. They see it as President Trump keeping his promises. So I think it's a fine line that Democrats have to walk. Which brings me to the question of this video. What do you believe? Do you believe that these district court judges are rogue? They are trying to stop President Trump from exercising his executive authority? Or do you believe President Trump is exceeding his executive authority and that a lot of these cases he's going to lose when it gets to the Supreme Court? Let me know what your thoughts are about all of this and these entire stories in the comment section below. Now, speaking of going rogue, that's exactly what Chuck Schumer did last Friday when he worked with Republicans and sided with President Trump to keep the government funded. As a result, his party wants him gone. So this morning, he went on to the news to make his rounds to defend himself and make a case on why he should stay on as the Senate leader. I'm going to tell you right now, it did not go very well. So if you want to check out that video, all you have to do is click on it because it's coming up right now.